Welcome back, dear viewers. Today we are traveling to the year 950 AD.
Close your eyes for a moment, and when you open them again, we will be standing in the middle of Jorvik.
It is an October morning in the year 950 AD, and Jorvik is the second largest city in England after London. Around 10,000 to 15,000 people live here. Vikings call it Jorvik. The English call it Eoforwic. Centuries earlier, the Romans called it Iberacum. Today, more than 1,000 years later, it will be called York. The same streets, the same crossing of the rivers Ouse and Foss, the same hills. But in 950, this is a Viking city. Jorvik has been ruled by Norse kings for over 70 years, since the great heathen army captured it in 866. King Eric Bloodaxe, the son of the famous Norwegian king Harald Fairhair, is on the throne for the second time. He is a violent man with a violent reputation. In 4 years, he will be driven out and killed in an ambush, and Jorvik will lose its independence forever. But that is the future. Today, the city is alive. Archaeologists know more about daily life in Jorvik than almost any other Viking city in the world. The famous Coppergate excavations from the 1970s and 1980s found wooden houses preserved in the wet ground, leather shoes still soft enough to bend, combs, coins, food remains, even human waste from old toilets. Everything we are about to see is based on what was actually found in the ground. Our route leads through 7 stations, from the river docks where Viking ships unload their cargo, to the night when storytellers recite old sagas by the fire and a king sits uneasy on a throne he is about to lose.
We are standing here on the banks of the River Ouse, where the city meets the water.
The Ouse is wide and deep at this point, deep enough for seagoing ships to come right up to the wooden quays. The Foss River joins it from the east, forming a natural protected harbour. This is the real reason Jorvik exists. Ships can sail from here all the way to Dublin, to the Norwegian coast, to Iceland, to the Baltic, and eventually to Constantinople. The whole Viking trading network passes through these docks. This morning, a nar is being unloaded. A nar is a Viking cargo ship, broader and deeper than the famous longships, designed to carry heavy goods rather than warriors. The cargo today includes amber from the Baltic coast, soapstone bowls from Norway, walrus ivory from the far north, and slaves from Ireland. The slave trade is one of the foundations of the Viking economy. Most slaves taken in raids on Ireland and Britain pass through markets like the one in Jorvik. From Jorvik in the other direction go English wool, lead from the Pennine Hills, grain, and crafted goods made in the city itself. Coins are minted here in the king's own mint. A Jorvik silver penny is recognized across the trading world. The workers on the docks are a mix: Norse-speaking Danes and Norwegians, English-speaking locals, Frisian traders from the coast of what is now the Netherlands, Irish merchants. After 80 years of Viking rule, the population has mixed. Many of the workers speak both Old Norse and Old English, often in a hybrid form. Modern English still carries hundreds of Norse words from this exact time: sky, window, knife, husband, leg, egg, take, give. Every one of those words came into English from Vikings like the ones on these docks. A merchant is shouting at his slaves to move faster. A boy of about 12 runs past carrying a basket of dried fish. The smell from the river is strong: fish, tar from the ropes, smoke from the city behind. The day in Jorvik has begun.
From the docks, the path leads into the heart of the craft district.
Coppergate is the street of the cupmakers. The name comes from the Old Norse coppery, meaning a woodturner who makes cups and bowls. Every street in Jorvik is like this. A single craft dominates each area. The street names from this period have survived to today. Coppergate is still called Coppergate. So are Ousegate, Micklegate, and Stonegate. The English word gate for street comes directly from the Old Norse gata. The houses on Coppergate are made of wood and wattle. They are narrow, only about 5 to 6 meters wide, and they stand right up against the street. Each building has a workshop at the front and living space behind or above. The roofs are made of thatch or wooden shingles. Smoke comes out through holes in the roof because Viking houses do not yet have chimneys. Inside one workshop, a comb maker is at work. Combs in Jorvik are made from antler, mostly from red deer, and each one takes hours of careful sawing and shaping. A good comb has decorative carvings and rivets of bronze or iron. Combs were so important in Viking culture that men and women both carried them on their belts. Hair and beard care was a serious matter. Vikings had a reputation among other Europeans for being unusually clean. Next door, a leather worker is making shoes. The leather shoes found at Coppergate were preserved so well that archaeologists could see the stitching, the wear patterns, even the size of the original wearer's foot. Most shoes were simple turn shoes. The leather was stitched inside out and then turned the right way around so the seam was hidden. Further down the street, a metal worker is hammering at a small forge. Iron knives, brooches, belt buckles, weapons. The fire is hot and the noise is constant. Across from him, a glass bead maker melts colored glass and shapes beads for necklaces. Some of the glass comes from broken Roman bottles found in the ruins of the old Roman city under their feet. The Vikings live on top of the ruins of Eboracum, often using the old Roman walls and roads. The smell on Coppergate is something modern people would find hard to bear. Workshops, animals, latrines, food scraps, smoke, leather curing, glue boiling. But this is normal life. The people here do not notice it.
We arrive at the main market, where the world comes together.
The market of Jorvik is one of the most cosmopolitan places in Europe at this moment. The Viking trading network reaches from Greenland to the Black Sea, and goods from across this huge area arrive in Jorvik. On the stalls today, silk fragments that began their journey in China and traveled through Constantinople. Silver coins from the Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad, marked with Arabic writing, melted down and reminted as English pennies. Cowrie shells from the Red Sea, used as ornaments. Wine in barrels from the Rhineland. Quern stones for grinding grain, imported from Norway. Furs from the Arctic. Honey from the forests of Eastern Europe. And local goods too. Yorkshire wool, already famous for its quality. Cheese from the Dales. Eggs, milk, butter. Salted fish from the North Sea. Mutton and pork. Bread baked that morning by the bakers near the cathedral. Beer in clay jugs. Beer is what most people drink, because the water is often unsafe. The currency situation is complicated. Some traders use coins. Many use silver by weight. They bring a small balance scale and cut pieces of silver to match the price. This is where the English word pound comes from, as a unit of weight before it became a unit of money. Many Viking-age silver hoards found by archaeologists in northern England contain cut pieces of jewellery and arm rings, kept simply because the silver weighed what it weighed. A slave market is set up at one end of the square. Men, women and children stand in chains, mostly captured in raids on Ireland or in wars between Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. A strong young man might sell for several months' worth of silver. The slave trade is one of the major sources of wealth for the Norse kingdoms, and Jorvik is one of its biggest hubs in northern Europe. The languages mixing in this market would be confusing to a modern visitor. Old Norse, Old English, sometimes Irish, sometimes Old Frisian or Frankish from traders. People who lived in Jorvik for any length of time spoke a kind of mixed speech, taking words from both Norse and English freely. The English language we speak today was being slowly created in places exactly like this.
At midday, we approach the seat of power of the Viking kings of Jorvik.
The King's Hall stands near the old Roman fortress walls, which the Vikings have repaired and reused. The hall itself is a large rectangular wooden building, probably with carved wooden pillars, a high roof, and benches along the long walls where warriors sit and feast. This is the typical layout of a Viking Great Hall. The the same as halls found in Norway and Iceland from this period. Inside, King Eric Bloodaxe is meeting with his retainers. Eric is the son of Harald Fairhair, the king who unified Norway. Eric became king of Norway after his father, but was driven out by his half-brother Hakon the Good. He came to England, was accepted as king of Jorvik, was driven out once, and is now back on the throne for the second time. His position is unstable. The English king Edred of Wessex is determined to absorb Northumbria into a single English kingdom. The Norse and Danish kings in Jorvik are running out of time. Eric's nickname, Bloodaxe, comes from his reputation for killing rivals. According to the sagas, he killed several of his own brothers to secure his position in Norway. The sagas were written down centuries later and may exaggerate, but Eric was clearly a violent man, even by the standards of his violent age. At his side is his wife Gunhild, a queen who is feared as much as he is. The sagas describe her as politically sharp, ambitious, and possibly skilled in seid, Norse magic. Modern historians are cautious about the saga descriptions, but Gunhild was clearly a powerful political figure in her own right. Around the king sit his herdmen, his sworn warriors. They are armed even at the meal. Sayax knives at their belts, swords and shields hung on the walls. Wealth in this hall is shown through gold and silver arm rings, decorated drinking horns, fine wool cloaks dyed in expensive colours. A skald, a court poet, may be present, ready to recite verses praising the king when called upon. The discussion today is about the English threat from the south. Messages come in from spies and allies. How many men can Edred raise? Which English nobles can be bribed? Which Norse fleets can be called for support? Eric does not yet know that in 4 years he will be ambushed and killed at a place called Stainmore in the Pennines, and that he will be the last Viking king of Jorvik.
From the King's Hall, we walk to the religious center of the city.
Jorvik is not a purely pagan city. By 950, most of the Viking population has converted to Christianity, at least officially. The conversion has been going on for several generations. The first Viking kings of Jorvik in the late 800s were pagans, but they soon began to accept baptism for political reasons. It allowed them to make treaties with Christian English kings and to marry Christian noblewomen. The Minster of Jorvik, the ancestor of the famous York Minster of later centuries, stands near the old Roman headquarters. It is a stone building, smaller than the cathedral that will rise here in later centuries, but already an important religious site. The Archbishop of York is one of the 2 most senior churchmen in all of England. The current Archbishop in 950 is Wulfstan I, a complicated figure who supports the Viking kings against the English crown, a kind of religious politician who plays both sides. Inside the minster, priests are conducting Mass. The service is in Latin, which neither the Norse nor the English-speaking population can understand. Many of the congregation are recent converts. Some are mixed in their beliefs. Archaeology shows that pagan symbols and Christian crosses sometimes appear together on the same stones, the same graves, the same brooches. The famous Gosforth cross in nearby Cumbria, carved around this time, shows Christian scenes alongside Norse mythological scenes, Ragnarok next to the crucifixion. Outside the minster, a stone carver is working on a grave marker. He is carving a typical hogback stone, a long curved stone that looks like a house with a curved roof. Hogbacks are a distinctly Anglo-Scandinavian type of monument, found only in areas of Viking settlement in northern England. They mix Christian crosses with Norse decorative styles. Several of them survive today and can be seen in museums. Religion in Jorvik is fluid. A Viking warrior might be baptized as a Christian for marriage or politics, but still wear a Thor's hammer pendant for luck in battle. Both kinds of pendants, Christian crosses and Thor's hammers, are found in Viking Age graves across England, sometimes in the same grave. The 2 religions blended for almost a century before Christianity finally became dominant.
As afternoon turns to evening, we step inside a typical home of the city.
This is one of the Coppergate houses, the kind that archaeologists found preserved in the wet ground. The building is about 7 meters long and 4 meters wide. The walls are made of wattle, woven branches, packed with clay. The roof is thatch. There are no windows, just small openings high up for smoke. The door is low. You have to bend to enter. Inside, the floor is bare earth, packed hard from years of use. A central hearth burns wood and peat. Smoke rises slowly to the smoke hole in the roof. The light is dim. Wooden benches run along the walls, used for sitting during the day and for sleeping at night. Furs and woolen blankets are folded at the ends of the benches. A family of perhaps 6 to 8 people lives here. Parents, children, sometimes grandparents, sometimes a slave or two. Privacy as modern people understand it does not exist. Everyone eats together, sleeps in the same room, gives birth in the same room, dies in the same room. The woman of the house is weaving on an upright loom against one wall. The loom is weighted with clay weights to keep the threads tight. She makes the family's clothing, blankets, and any cloth used for trade. Textile production is one of the most important activities of any Viking household, and it is done by women. The cloth that Jorvik exports to the rest of Europe was woven on looms exactly like this one. The children, when they are not working, play with toys archaeologists have found in the ground. Wooden swords, small carved horses, dolls made of cloth, dice and gaming pieces. Adults play board games too. Hnefatafl, a strategy game similar to chess, is the most popular. Game pieces made of bone, glass and amber have been found in Jorvik. Food today is being prepared in iron pots over the fire. The diet is rich in meat by medieval standards: pork, beef, mutton, chicken, fish from the rivers and the sea. Bread is made daily from barley and oats, less commonly from wheat. Vegetables, cabbage, onions, leeks, peas, beans, apples and berries in season, honey for sweetness, beer or weak ale for drinking. The remains of meals found in Jorvik's old latrines tell us exactly what people ate. They also tell us, in less pleasant detail, that almost everyone had intestinal parasites. Hygiene was good by medieval standards, but not by modern ones. On a shelf, a small wooden cross stands next to a carved figure that may represent Thor or Frey. The family keeps options open.
Night falls over Jorvik, and the warriors gather for the evening feast.
Welcome, brother.
Back at the King's Hall, the evening feast is beginning. The long fire down the center of the hall is built up high. Servants bring in roasted meat on wooden boards. Mead, ale, and imported wine are poured into drinking horns and wooden cups. The warriors eat with their belt knives. Forks do not exist in this culture. They take meat with their hands. This is the moment when Viking culture is most itself. The hall feast is the center of social life for the warrior class. Loyalties are renewed here. Gifts are given by the king to his men: rings, weapons, fine cloth. A warrior who has fought well receives recognition in front of the whole community. A warrior who has failed risks public shame. A skald stands up to recite a poem. The form is complex. Old Norse poetry uses strict patterns of sound and meaning, with elaborate metaphors called kennings. A ship is called the horse of the sea. A sword is called the wound snake. A battle is called the meeting of metal. The audience knows the patterns and listens for the skald's skill in using them. A great poem can be remembered for generations and passed down by other skalds. The poem tonight may be in praise of King Eric's earlier campaigns, or it may be a famous older poem from the Norse tradition. Some of the poems recited in halls like this in the 900s and 1000s were later written down by Icelanders. This is how the sagas came to us. The poems we read today as Old Norse literature were once performed in halls exactly like this one. Outside, in the streets of Jorvik, the city quiets down. Oil lamps burn in some windows. Tallow candles burn in others. Most people sleep early because they rise before dawn. A watchman walks the old Roman walls, which the Vikings still use as the main defense of the city. Dogs bark. A horse stamps in a stable. The river runs dark below the wharves. Beyond the walls, the Northumbrian countryside is dark. Beyond that, the English kingdom of Wessex grows stronger every year under King Edred. The Viking world is shrinking. Within a few years, Jorvik will lose its Viking kings forever. Eric Bloodaxe will die in a Pennine ambush in 954. Northumbria will be absorbed into the new kingdom of England. The city will continue, but as an English city, not a Viking one. Yet the people of Jorvik will remain mostly the same. The descendants of Norse settlers will still live here. The language will keep its Norse words. The street names will keep their Norse forms. The crafts will keep their Norse techniques. 1,000 years later, archaeologists digging at Coppergate will find the wooden walls of these houses still standing in the wet ground, and they will reconstruct the city we have just walked through, exactly as it was on this October evening in 950 AD.
That was Jorvik in October 950, the Viking capital of England in its last great days. How did you like it? Many thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more time travels.